the GOAT. It is the GOAT.
It is the GOAT.
This arc is garbage. This arc is such nonsense. There's always that one where I just hate. Always that one that I hate it. It's your boy WesSideLive, and we're here once again for another one of my amazing rankings because I am the most objective tier list maker. We are here for the tier list of the best Dragon Ball arcs plus movies. I used to be kind of a Dragon Ball reactor. Whoever's been here since then. How long has it been? Has it been 5 years? Some of y'all gonna want to know what inspired this on. Well, I've been seeing some reviews. Shout out to Totally Not Mark and other people talking about Dragon Ball. So you know that just brought on the Dragon Ball flow and juices. So here we are. It's kind of crazy how we was kind of all fiending for Dragon Ball to come back, and then it came back with Dragon Ball Super, and now Dragon Ball Super is over, and now Dragon Ball Super almost kind of feeling nostalgic. Starting with Z tier, obviously being the god tier, being the greatest of Dragon Ball. A tier, B, mid, below mid, Garbaccio, and haven't seen. Started it all. The Dragon Ball Pilaf, the first Dragon Ball arc to ever exist. Man, when I was a kid, I watched this arc over and over again. That first arc had some magic to it that I feel like any kid can enjoy. I rewatched Dragon Ball quite recently, and I got some criticisms. I feel like this arc is kind of all over the place a lot of the times. No matter how much fun it is, it kind of loses its focus. Although the adventures are fun, you can really tell that I don't know how much Toriyama wanted this to be a gag manga or wanted this to be like an actual battle shonen manga. So all in all, I think it was B tier. Of course, Goku turned into the Great Ape. That plot twist was amazing. And you're gonna really find out, like in a lot of these, Toriyama has some of the best plot twists in anime. He really does. 21st Martial Arts Tournament, absolutely Z tier. Absolutely, positively. Absolutely Z tier, God tier.
Am I the only one who understands the complexities of this ambitious cinematic masterpiece?
One of Toriyama's best arcs in Dragon Ball. I think what I love most about this arc, it just has a feeling boys becoming men. Not only that, an adventure aspect of meeting Master Roshi. It was Master Roshi trying to teach Krillin and Goku how to be men and how to go out in the world and teach them that there's always someone stronger than you, which is kind of like the whole theme that comes into place with Dragon Ball. And this arc encompasses that perfectly. The comedy is perfect. The training arc is perfect. The fighting ain't necessarily perfect, okay? But the Master Roshi versus Goku fight is really good. Just seeing Goku go on a plane for the first time. It's just, I love this arc. I love this arc. The Red Ribbon Army arc. Okay, I definitely gotta say A. This is an A tier for me. This is one of those arcs where Goku seriously goes out into the world. This arc did a great job of showing the world. Oh my gosh, when you just realize how, I really feel like this arc really shows how vibrant and how big the world of Dragon Ball truly was at the time. Just so much larger than life. And Red Ribbon Army arc did a great job of doing that. It wasn't just like blast, blast, fight, fight, punch, punch. There was little nuances to it. And it was just overall a really fun arc, so I really enjoyed that. This one's gonna get me into some trouble, man. Because I know people love this arc. I'm just gonna have to be honest. The 22nd Martial Arts Tournament is not that impressive of an arc in my opinion. Granted, the fighting is some of the best fighting choreography, but there definitely has to be something more for me to want to put you higher. I know everything with Tien and people with Yamcha and the Krillin and Goku fight and the Goku Tien fight, great fight, right? It had nothing but banger fight. But I do think it was just pretty generic. It was just a pretty generic arc. It had generic character building. It had generic, in my opinion, just characterizations for the most part. I'm going to give all its credit because it didn't really mess up on anything, so I'm going to put it in B tier, which it's still good, right? It's still good, but I do think people want me to put it like amazing or Z tier. But it's just I don't think it really went overboard or anything. I feel like it gave us everything you would expect out of any shonen series especially with the TN character. It's really predictable. Like I said, the fights carry it hard. The King Piccolo arc, I'm gonna go B tier for the King Piccolo arc. I think the King Piccolo arc walked so some of the Dragon Ball Z arcs could run. That's how I see the King Piccolo arc, because it has a lot of, I really feel like this arc established what Toriyama wanted to go with the series, which was bigger and better and beyond. When he got to the King Piccolo arc, I really feel like in Toriyama's mind, he was thinking, how do I step up my game, and how do I make the world of Dragon Ball bigger? How do I make it grander? And how do I make every villain have an impact on the viewer every single time? I really feel like this arc established where he wanted to go, and this arc started off great and it ended great. I will say though, everything in the middle was kind of messy for me. That's why I said this arc walked so everything else could run, because the difference between this arc and some of the Z arcs, the middle, he had a tough time. In my opinion, when I was watching, he had a tough time piecing together where he wanted to go. It felt like we were just kind of going until we got to the Goku and King Piccolo fight, if that makes sense. The Piccolo Jr. Saga, the end of Dragon Ball. It was a good arc, good ending for Dragon Ball. I don't think it was like a grand, like if because the thing about Dragon Ball is you gotta kind of go by like how it was kind of done in the manga, and Dragon Ball manga is just Dragon Ball. You go by Dragon Ball, the anime though, the fact that it ended right there, I don't really feel like it was the grandiose ending as a story. Fight, sure, but as a story, so like if Dragon Ball ended right there, I would feel kind of empty. Saiyan Saga. This, I always say this. I say that Dragon Ball is the Michael Jordan of anime. This is kind of the moment where, as you can see, ain't missed. Dragon Ball was like for Michael Jordan in his college, in his beginning Chicago years, where he was just, you knew he was that dude, but he didn't quite put it together to where you know he was the GOAT. Toriyama got to Z portion. That's when you knew, okay, this is the 96 Bulls. This is the 90s Bulls in general. This is that guy. Ain't nobody fucking with him. It's his world. We're just living in it. So we have the Saiyan arc. Is it A tier? It's a straight up A tier. Because here's the thing about Dragon Ball Z, and what I don't like when people talk about Dragon Ball Z. People already talk about Dragon Ball Z knowing what they know about the show. Put yourself out of the equation. Put yourself in a person that knows nothing about Dragon Ball, or just started watching Dragon Ball, was watching Dragon Ball Z for the first time, and the first episode, the plot twist you get, you done went through a whole adventure with Goku. You have no idea what he is. You have no idea where he comes from. All you know, he's a martial artist who could turn into a great ape. That's all you know of him. He's married with the kid. That's already in a plot twist with itself that he has a kid. In the first episode, knowing all you know about Dragon Ball, nothing about Dragon Ball Z, you find out that Goku is a space pirate or a space Viking. You find out that he was sent to Earth to destroy all the living beings on it and sell it off to the highest bidder. You find out that the family you had out there, and he's your brother from space, who's also your enemy. I need you to look at it from that perspective. That is the craziest thing you will ever hear if you just start off watching Dragon Ball. You didn't know nothing about Dragon Ball Z, and that's the first thing you see. And then by like episode 3 or 4, the main character dies. Granted, I know people say the Dragon Balls. This is before the Dragon Balls were so easily found. This is before, and also I really think Toriyama was very, very, very creative and unique and clever. The way that even though the easier it became to find the Dragon Balls, he started putting things in placements where the Dragon Balls weren't going to always come out to help them. He put things in place to make sure that, oh, we can't just call on the Dragon Balls anytime we want to. Of course, we go farther into Dragon Ball, we know how that goes and how that plot device kind of came to hurt Dragon Ball in the end, but at first, it really wasn't a problem as a device. We can say that Raditz was underutilized, which I would say that's a knock against this arc. The training arc, definitely too long. Okay, too stretched out, too much. Okay, granted, Toriyama is the greatest builder of story blocks when it comes down to fights. Okay, he could have been Vince McMahon. All right, the way he will build up fights in the main event. Granted, but it was way too long-winded in this arc. The training just wasn't fun. So I definitely had to give a knock to that, and that's probably the only reason why I wouldn't put it in Z tier, because of the pacing it took to get up to Vegeta and Nappa. But once we get to Vegeta and Nappa, that is the ultimate boss fight of all time. They live up to the hype. I really think that this arc set a precedence for every single shonen ever. But it was perfected in this arc. It was the perfect boss battle arc when it built up to Raditz, to Nappa, to Vegeta. Arise, they have one of the greatest, some people even consider the greatest anime fight of all time. I don't know, I don't think it's the greatest anime fight of all time. I don't even think it's the greatest anime fight in this series. I think Goku versus Vegeta Part 1 is the greatest anime event of all time, because there was a lot of different layers for this fight. Not a miss yet. And people try to tell me, oh, Dragon Ball's overrated. Where's the miss? He don't miss. Z tier. Obviously Z tier. This is the arc that Toriyama worked on his craft to get to at the end. This was the finale to his craft. Like Michael Jordan, three-peat, right? Yeah, no, at that point, no one was messing with him. That's how I feel about where he got here with the Frieza saga. A lot of people question the power scaling in this arc in particular, or start questioning it. I think it was done really well. The only thing I'll probably say is the Zenkai boost got a little bit out of control, because it's just like, okay, if we, we blast the hole through your chest every single time, Vegeta, and we give you a sensu bean, are you just gonna magically turn into a Super Saiyan all of a sudden if I just kept spamming it? That was the only thing that I think Toriyama kind of wrote himself in the hole to. But everything else, the Ginyu Force, all of it was just perfectly crafted. Goku getting there was a lot more fun of a training arc than him on Snake Way, I would say, at least in my opinion. And then, of course, Frieza. Toriyama crafted him to where you was losing more and more and more and more health when you realize, oh man, I ain't got no more health items. How he pushed every character the absolute marks, past despair. Every character was pushed past despair. Of course, with the character arc with Vegeta was perfection. And of course, the whole fight with Goku and Frieza. Toriyama's ability to make you keep guessing is the greatest thing. And then, of course, he kills Krillin, which is probably one of the most iconic deaths in all of anime. And then we had the most iconic moment in all of anime that has been redone in so many renditions. Of course, Super Saiyan has set the precedence for all of anime history. It changed all of anime history that day when Toriyama did what he did. There's a lot of great choreographed moments. There's so many great choreographed moments in this fight. Toriyama, who is just a master at ending fights. Every single fight in this series, it's like Jordan in fourth quarter. He's just the GOAT at ending a fight. Look at all the ending of these fights. The craziest way possible. Get you all the feelings and all the hype and all the, oh my gosh, and all the surprises in the world that will affect the history of Dragon Ball forever and his landscape. He overdid himself every single time. Z tier, God tier. But then it's like, there's no way at this point. Yo, Toriyama, we just kind of, there's no way you can outdo yourself at this point. You already made the most iconic arc in anime history, the most iconic fight, the most iconic moments. Toriyama's like, 96 bulls, baby. 3-peat, I'm going for a 6-0-peat, boy. The Cell Saga. Some say the Android Saga and Cell Saga. I'm putting them together. It's the same shit. I don't really care. But the Cell Saga. I'm gonna keep saying this. GOAT! GOAT! It is the GOAT!
It is the GOAT!
Not only the GOAT, in my opinion, top 3 arc in all of anime history. The only one I can really think that's better is maybe the Dark Tournament arc and the Chimera Ant arc in Hunter x Hunter. Cut from the same cloth, basically, from Dragon Ball, so I'll take it. The Cell Saga. It's the GOAT. It is the GOAT. And I'll say that. I will die on this hill. The Cell Saga, take away everything you think you know. You're just going into it fresh. Already off the Frieza Saga. And what's the first thing this man does? I'm going to send in a character to handle Frieza. This is not just any character. This is a Super Saiyan. This is the second Super Saiyan in the series. The legendary Super Saiyan, you have this guy who had all the drip, who handled him like light work. And his Poppy. Losing out on all hope. Think about that for a second. Think about that plot twist on itself. Come to find out, he's from the future. Then to come find out, he's Bulma's son. Then to come to find out, he's Vegeta's son. That is the craziest thing, considering the history of it and the timeline of it, you can possibly ever hear. And Toriyama somehow pulled that off and just marksmanship shit. Toriyama being a master of flipping expectations on your head and pulling it off every single time. Of course, we know with the story with Cell getting into Perfect Cell, I'm not going to break down everything. We do one of the greatest 180s, one of the greatest built-up development characters from beginning to end. We talking about this beginning of the show, how we built up Gohan to the end of the show, passing off the baton. Goku passing, that's just the perfect ending you possibly can do from the beginning of Dragon Ball to the end of Dragon Ball Z. Passing off this, yes, we know that Toriyama did not follow through, but we're not there yet, okay? Passing off his baton. Goku and Cell, one of the best choreographed fights in anime. Okay, then you get to Gohan and Cell. Beam struggle, one of the greatest moments, carried off moments, let alone Super Saiyan 2 in anime. Developed moments in anime. Vegeta finishing his character arc. But from a storytelling perspective, I don't think there was anything that was crafted more glamorously than the Cell Saga. I just don't think there. I don't think what it meant to the story and the impact of the story and how he did it. OSTs for the America and Japanese, the music, the fighting, the action, the animation, the characterizations. I don't think there was anything better than the Cell Saga. Go. 96 Bulls. Go. Okay. Then we get to the Buu Saga. We get to the last dance, baby. It's kind of hard to judge. I always say this. The Buu Saga is the hardest saga to judge in all of Dragon Ball, because it's one of those sagas that it had so many, like the moments when they were high, they're the highest in, not just in Dragon Ball, I think in anime. But the lows are some of the most lows in Dragon Ball. So it's kind of hard to steer the ship of how you want to judge. Like everybody has a different opinion on the Buu Saga. In my opinion, okay, weirdly enough, I know objectively it's not the best. It ain't the worst, but it's not the best. But that's my mind. My heart, this is my favorite saga. I said it, my favorite saga in Dragon Ball. I can rewatch this saga. I can watch this arc 100 times over and never get bored. In fact, I probably have. I know some people say like it's long-winded. It is. It has some pretty poor pacing from time to time. But it is the most fun in Dragon Ball. It is. Buu as a villain was some of the most fun I've ever had watching Dragon Ball. Buu was turning people into candy. I remember watching that as a kid, and I was just, it hit me in certain chords I didn't know I had watching like an anime series. Like Buu was scary in a lot of ways, because he didn't feel like, even as a kid watching, he didn't feel like he could be beat. But he seemed like he had the Toon Force on his side. That's what it felt like when it was fighting Buu. Okay, there's some narrative issues in it, sure, but some of the highs, Vegeta, everybody with the Spirit Bomb, Gotenks, Vegito, okay, Gohan's moment in the sun. I really enjoyed the high school Gohan moments, okay? That was highly entertaining. So it's really hard to push where this arc is at, so I'm just going to make a new row. If you put this arc in front of everybody, other than having fun with it, not everybody's going to have the same, because there's some people that hate this arc, and I can kind of understand why if you don't feel the Buu stuff. I personally think it's the best aesthetic in Dragon Ball. It's the most fun you're going to have in Dragon Ball. It's the most villain you're going to have in Dragon Ball. All the characters getting together, all the Super Saiyans going around. It's just so freaking fun. It's a fun arc, but I do understand. I don't know if I could quite put in a good. To be fair, I probably put 22 martial arts tournament and slightly above mid too. The way I was talking about it. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, that's probably what I'll put it. Which is still not a miss. But there's not a miss in sight. If I actually want to change this, I'm putting this in A. I'm putting this in A. Okay, I'm putting the first story. Like, the more I think about it, the more I actually want to put it in A. So I'm changing it. This is how I rank it right here. It's hard. It can be liquefied. It could change. Now we got out the goated years. Let's go ahead and get out the Washington Michael Jordan years, the baseball years. Okay, let's go ahead and get into that. GT and Super. You know what's so funny? Out of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, out of the Dragon Ball series, this is, once we get to GT and Super, this is the stuff that the Dragon Ball fans fight the most among yourselves. These are solidified. These are goated. This solidifies at least the Dragon Ball manga, and depending how you see the Dragon Ball anime in general. Okay? It's really when we get to GT and Super. Now that I've been slurping off Dragon Ball this entire time, the GOAT, now I'm gonna piss some people off. Okay? Because I'm not holding back. I'm not gonna be nice. Some people would probably think, oh, Wes, you had so much bad things to say about Dragon Ball Super in the past. Maybe some of y'all think with time going on, maybe I'll be nicer. No, I've only probably gotten harsher. Looking at these only makes me see a lot of these with contempt. I'm just going to be honest with you. So if that is going to bother you, then you're not about to have a good time. The first arc of Dragon Ball GT, the Black Star Dragon arc. Here's the thing about GT. GT, I still respect GT. A lot of people don't understand that GT tried. One, they didn't have Toriyama on their side. Right? He only gave them maybe a couple of concepts, but they didn't have Toriyama with their side. And they tried to be different. They attempted at being different. I respect that. I respect the attempt. They tried with a different aesthetic. They just tried with the new things. Now, people will argue, well, what about the whole Kid Goku scenario situation? The thing about it is, I've never been mad about the Kid Goku situation. I always thought it was like an interesting concept. Was it executed well? No. But the thing about it, like, let's say versus Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super had a issue with Goku and power scaling. The entire... Actually, it wasn't just Goku. It was with everybody. But particularly Goku, because Goku was already so overly powerful. How do we get him down to have competitive fights or into the narrative with his strength? GT attempted to find a way around that, because they used Goku's being a child as a plot device. They tried with it, right? Goku couldn't go Super Saiyan 3. Couldn't. His body couldn't take it. Super Saiyan 3 is too taxing on the body. Goku couldn't instant transmission like he wanted to because of his body. It couldn't handle it. That's, to me, they tried to nerf Goku or try to bring Goku back with everybody else, which I thought made sense. I thought it would be a little fun with Goku. Some of the episodes were cool. You know, like the hotel episode. I really like the hotel episode. But most of the episodes, especially with Pan and... they treated Trunks so poorly in this anime. I did not like Trunks in GT. I'm going to have to go, for the most part, below mid. I think it was good in concept. They tried to bring back a little Dragon Ball flavor into it, but it failed. I do like the cyberpunk aspect they try to add to it. I do like the fact that it was like, oh, what's the futuristic outlook of how Dragon Ball looked? And that was like their vision of it, which I thought that was cool. They try to go bigger and darker. It's the 90s. We know that in the 90s, everything was more of a darker aesthetic compared to the 80s and, you know, where we at now. And they try to kind of follow that culture, and it didn't work out that well, but I respect the attempt, but I gotta grade it where it is. The Baby Saga. It's A tier. Did you? A tier. I said it's A tier. It is A tier. I don't care what anybody says. The Baby Saga is so freaking good. When I say it's good, it's so freaking good. It is good. It is good shit. That is good shit. It's good shit. Okay. I wanted maybe to put it in B, but the more I think about it, I'm sorry. I think the Baby Saga is some of the most creative that we got in Dragon Ball. I'm just gonna be real. Okay, with the whole truffle stuff, that coming back to haunt them. Super Saiyan 4. The fights were a bit better. They kept the aesthetic, I would say, consistently the entire ride of the show and animation of the arc. They did a really good job with that. The weight of it, it had a weight to it. There were consequences. There was consequences for our actions, which I would say in general in GT, that's one of the best things that they did. There was more consequences, I think, in GT than there was in Z. And I love Z, but I feel like it has so much consequences to it. And Baby Saga proven that to be true with the Earth situation. Piccolo actually dying. Wasn't like he's coming back. No, he actually died. There was just more moments. It was the most moments any character was going to get in this arc. So I think the Baby saga is great, man. Baby as a villain was perfect for the scenario. A tier for me, dog. A tier. Android 17 saga. I have a confession. I like the Android 17 saga. Here's the thing about the Android 17 saga. He's just freaking cool, man. I just like Android 17. Okay, as an Android 17 fanboy, I just like Android 17. So it's kind of hard to like take that away from me because as a kid, I just wanted to see Android 17. Now that we got it off the way, and now that we got past that, he's the most drippiest character in freaking Dragon Ball. This arc is garbage. This arc is such nonsense. This arc makes no damn sense. Like, this arc sucks so bad, bro. Oh my gosh, man. I love it, but it sucks so bad. It is so garbage. It's just nonsense. It's the most fan servicey thing I think I've ever seen in the wrong ways, which is fine to be a little fan servicey. The Boo saga is a little fan servicey. Even the Cell saga in a lot of instances is fan servicey. But this arc, boy. This was the beginning of the end, in my opinion. How we see Dragon Ball. Like I said, these are the Washington Wizard baseball days of Michael Jordan. Okay, it just wasn't good. It was cool. Animation was cool. It also really personified where we were with the choreography. A lot of people think that Z didn't have as good as choreography as Dragon Ball, which I feel like is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Z had way better choreography than Dragon Ball. Get the fuck out of here. But I will say Z did this. It depended on a lot of fireworks. It depended on a lot of, just over the topness. GT, that's all they depended on. And they didn't really do that right? It wasn't like so over the top where the explosion just made you feel like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It really was just a bunch of key blasts being thrown around. And Baby Saga, they did that quite a bit, but it was still a little bit better. I feel like they tried a little bit more. Android 17, they did not try. They didn't even try. It was a good ending to the fight. It's entertaining because it's Android 17, but it just didn't try. His arc is just, man. Shadow Dragon arc, I'm gonna put it in mid. This arc is not very good. This is one of those things where this was the best concept in Dragon Ball. Where the story began with the Dragon Balls and where the story ended should have been, with the Dragon Balls. Right? In concept, that's great. We abused the power of the Dragon Balls and they're coming back for revenge upon us. That is very, very clever. Great concept. Got a lot of Super Saiyan 4. Too much Pan was the problem. All the characters at the end, I felt like that was the best time to utilize the rest of the characters. It really was the Goku show, even though the Super is the Goku show as well. But like GT just took Goku time to a whole different level. Of course, Vegeta guy's little moment in the sun, but yeah, choreography was still dog shit. Still PP blast. Yeah, just really a mid arc, but it did have the greatest finale takeoff you'll ever see. I cried. I legit had tears. Okay, they were coming down. Okay, and I don't really cry like that. I was crying. That's how great it was. It was a legacy type of send-off. Much better than Dragon Ball Z's. Whatever the final episode of Dragon Ball Z was freaking stupid. Okay, but for Dragon Ball GT, how they did it, as you see, GT, a lot of busts. Did have his one-time moment in the sun. This only arc is really the only thing that makes GT worth it. Now we get into Super. Here's the thing about Super. I knew Super was going to have problems because of Battle of Gods, and we'll get into Battle of Gods later when I get to the movie portions of why I knew Battle of Gods was going to be what is going to be Dragon Ball's undoing. I knew from Battle of Gods, but I was so excited for more Dragon Ball, man. I was so excited for more Dragon Ball that I just didn't care. Now looking back, yeah, I wish you'd take it back because this show almost ruined Dragon Ball's legacy. I'm sorry, it just wasn't worth it. But Battle of Gods, we already know with the animation. I don't like certain narrative stuff with this. There's just nothing fun about this arc that you can't already get from the movie. So yeah, below mid. The Frieza saga. The Golden Resurrection of F. The Resurrection of F saga.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
This saga nearly broke me. It hurt my soul. This saga really almost made me give up on Dragon Ball. It being a movie recap, of course, didn't help. The animation, the choreography, the story elements itself, the power scaling. Oh my gosh, if you're going to do that many fights, you got to get the power scaling at least somewhat right. And oh, the disrespect that story had on its characters, to me, is just, it's insanity. The whole laser thing with Goku, just stupid. The retconning of everything, stupid. This is one of the worst arcs in anime. It is the worst arc in Dragon Ball. If that hasn't already been clear, it is the worst arc in Dragon Ball. I hate this arc so much. It just seeing it hurts my soul. There's always that one where I just hate.
I hate you!
There's always that one that I hate it. And this is the one. There's literally nothing redeemable, nothing good about this arc. Not one thing is good about this dumbass arc. I hate it so much. I'll get into the movie when we get to the movie. But this nearly broke me. Below the dirt, okay? A long way from the top, man. A long drop from the top, I must say. We in those Charlotte Hornet Michael Jordan ownership years. That's what we're in right now. Just a long way from the top. U6 versus U7 tournament, absolutely mid in the worst way. Except for a couple of fights, obviously the Goku and Hit fight. That's the only thing that makes it somewhat worth it. But you can just kind of watch it on YouTube. That arc in itself, just watching as a whole, is not watchable. It's not fun. The character designs are absolutely poo-poo trash for the most part, except for Hit. And that arc is kind of freaking lazy. But yeah, long way from grace, okay? Long way from grace. The whole Vegeta Jelly Man thing, Garbachi. Whoa. Yo. I hate it. I'm pretty sure most people hate this. I'm pretty sure most people think this is like the worst arc in Dragon Ball. It's this. Oh man. From GOAT status to whatever this, except for that one instance of greatness. Just down here. From mid and down, just Dragon Ball, what are we doing? Goku Black Arc. You started off so hot, but you burned out just as fast. I would say Goku Black Arc had one of the better beginnings in Dragon Ball. I would say it's up there with the best of them when it comes to the beginning. But at the same time, the Goku Black Saga had probably the worst endings. But is the worst ending in Dragon Ball. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. So I'm trying to kind of balance that out, what that looks like. Found itself in a slather of plot holes really freaking fast. It's just at the midpoint and beyond when it actually had to get to the writing, it was absolutely garbage. Crux of the plot with Zamasu. It keeps falling. Zamasu started off as an intriguing character because I think the Kaizen themselves are underutilized. So the fact that they try to utilize it, kind of similar to the Baby Saga, okay, we got some plot going. But unlike the Baby Saga, when we got into the plot, by the episode. The fights are cool though. Definitely some of the best fights in Dragon Ball Super. Definitely had better fights in it than Dragon Ball GT. Damn, that ending was so bad though. I'm going to say mid for now. I think being good, then so bad ending. sandwiched together, probably around mid, right? So that's all I'm gonna say for now. But there is some part of me that wants to say below mid because that ending was that bad, and there was a good amount of plot holes, and there was just a fair amount of bullshit in this arc. And this arc did make me frustrated, and it really just showed me like how incompetent the writers at Toei were. But finally, we get to the Universal Tournament arc. Also, one of those arcs, kind of like the Boo Saga, which is really hard to grade. I have a lot of thoughts about the Universal Tournament arc. I think one of the best things about it, of course, is the grandiose animation and choreography of the series, much like these two, right? So I'm probably want to go slightly above mid. I think, though, the problem with the Universal Tournament arc is there's so many great fights in this tournament. But at the same time, there's so many problems, so many inconsistencies, so many power scaling issues. If you want to see a really good tournament arc of what it probably should have been post Dragon Ball Z, read the multiverse manga, the Dragon Ball multiverse manga. That I really think delivers the spirit that Dragon Ball Z had versus whatever Dragon Ball Super was. But I think one of the things that I feel like we missed in the Universal Tournament is how they underutilized the universes. And what I mean by that, just it really what did boil down to, we really just trying to get to the Goku versus Jiren fight. That's what it boiled down to. It really didn't care about anybody else. It cared about getting other characters their shine, which granted, I'll give it credit for that. But it's not really that much of a shine if you don't care about any of the characters that they're going against, right? If I don't really care about the characters they're going against, how much shine is that really? It was fun. It was a good time. I had a good time reacting to it from week to week basis. Toei was definitely in his bag, choreographer wise and animation wise, and I think for the most part it left off on a positive note where we only had negative notes. As you can see here, I have no arc except for the Universal Tournament arc above mid. I don't mean to act like an asshole, but there's just so many other better anime out there than some of the bullshit that they tried to deliver to us as Dragon Ball fans, but knew we was going to be loyal to them because we were Dragon Ball fans. And which, yeah, I'm always going to, watch some Dragon Ball. That's just always going to happen. I've accepted that. But I have moved past to the point where I'm not accepting bullshit. There's other stuff I can watch. There's other great stuff out there. Although Dragon Ball had its heyday, there was other stuff out there that competes as well that just delivers so much more than what Toei gave us when it came to Dragon Ball Super. That's just the facts. Same thing with GT. It's the facts. If you ask me which one was better, I think GT is slightly better. It's not great. I think it's more like GT is like a 6 and Super is like a 5, or GT is like a 5 and Super is like a 4. Somewhere scaling around there. It's not by much. But both of them definitely didn't give us the series we deserved. But that just really tells you that when it's over, it's over. It should have been over at the Cell Saga. Now for the movies! Y'all, it's time for the movies! And I'm just going to be honest, I haven't seen any of the Dragon Ball movies except for Path to Power. So I'm just going to go ahead. I don't plan on watching them. It's just not necessary for me to get any real story. But people are probably like, oh, but it's a fun, good time. I don't really care that much to go back to watch Dragon Ball movies. I just don't, and I'm not going to. So it is what it is. But I haven't seen everything else on here. Bardock episode is really freaking good, and it sets up Frieza Saga pretty well that you need to. It's really straightforward. It isn't the greatest thing ever, but it is a good standoff to watch that. Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. Obviously these aren't canon, right? These movies are not canon, but regardless, it's kind of hard to see what's really canon in Dragon Ball, because they still put a lot of the story elements from the canon series into these movies. So I kind of hate the whole it's not canon thing, but we're still doing the same characterizations and developments and plot threads that we have from the anime series. Really dog. Dead Zone, the choreography I remember is pretty cool. The whole Garlic Jr. thing, I don't fucking care, bro. Mid. It's just mid. I don't care. I never cared about that stuff. What the hell is this? Is this World's Strongest? I feel like this is World's Strongest. And if it's the one where it's the whole computer thing in the cave and they're trying to get Goku out. I remember that being mid too. I ain't gonna lie, a lot of the Dragon Ball Z movies are mid. Whole Turtle shit mid. Like most of these movies are mid. This movie was mid too. Lord Slug, a bunch of fucking mid. This one's gonna be controversial because I feel like a lot of people want this at least higher than mid. I'll at least put the Cooler movie in slightly above mid. I don't think the Cooler movie is like the greatest thing in the world. I really think it's just like a half-assed Frieza saga. I actually think Revenge of Cooler is cooler. I'm sorry for that, but I just had to do it. I'll say it's good. I like Revenge of Cooler. I really do. Maybe I'm being biased at this point. You know, it's kind of hard to grade Dragon Ball Z movies because they're just so, I mean, they're only like an hour and 30 minutes and they're really just trying to get in there to get in there. But I thought the Cooler move was good. I don't know how the fuck Vegeta got there, but whatever. The ending was cool. I feel like it delivered everything a hype anime movie needed to be. And yeah, I got it in B tier for me, dog. B tier for me. It's probably too high, but I'm just gonna put it there anyways. I don't give a shit. Super Android 13. That movie is fun because you just get to see Super Saiyans work. But I just remember the choreography for this movie actually wasn't very good until like the last ending scene. Like the last ending scene was the only kind of good thing about it. So, I mean, it was cool to kind of see the other androids. I feel like the character designs were interesting. They were interesting, especially like I said, with like the Universal Tournament arc or the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 arc, where the character designs are just so damn boring, right? I feel like in this movie, the character designs were up there. They were great. Actually, at the point where where Goku and them start turning Super Saiyans in these movies, a lot of the character designs are peak. They are peak in these movies for whatever reason. That is one thing I would say Toei definitely got right, but for whatever reason, in this new age, they can't get it right for whatever reason. Everybody just, you know, you can take them seriously as threats. The Broly movie, I don't care what the fuck you got to say. Broly is a good movie. The Legendary of the Super Saiyan. Here's the thing I love about this movie. I feel like Broly, even though, you know, this movie is not canon, I feel like this was everything the Legend of the Super Saiyan was building it up to be. And Saiyans in general. It felt more like a thing where it was a feral thing. That's why I love Super Saiyan 4. It's like it ties to the origins of who they are as a people. The legendary Super Saiyan. The ultimate warrior. Everything a space Viking should be. Ruthless. Fighter. Unbeatable. Doesn't care about anything. That's what it felt like, the ultimate warrior of a Super Saiyan. And let me just get into the movie. Animation great. Character design great. The plot, not the plot itself, but the plot thread and how they're threading with it was great. The fight scene with Broly. Who got murked worse than the Z Warriors in that fight in anime history? Some people bring up Madara. Some people bring up a whole other group of characters. Broly is the ultimate menace in all of anime. I think y'all need to understand. Who knows? I might need to go into depth of what makes this man the ultimate menace. Of course, I know the whole Broly thing and why he even came to be. There was actually a real story right there with Broly and Vegeta. I don't know why they didn't go that route, but I guess because we got to make it to the Goku story, right? Where we got to make Goku the main character, whatever. But except for that, if y'all just eliminate that, the rest of the movie is pretty great, at least in my opinion. But I would say it's around B tier, good. This game movie, I think this came in Raging Blast 2, I believe. This shit was definitely below mid. It was boring as hell. BoJack movie. I think the BoJack movie was cool for the most part. I like how the beginning, how it kind of started off as a tournament and like devolved into this. I would say BoJack was, you know what? I was thinking I was going to go slightly above mid, but the more I talk about it, the more I'm kind of convincing myself this was actually really good. This is actually a pretty damn good movie now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe I'm overrating a little bit. Maybe I need to like rewatch it. But the more I'm thinking about it, that movie was really well paced throughout it. Him and his gang, you know, no one really has a great reason to be evil in Dragon Ball. They're just evil to be evil. But he came off as menacing, right? He was not a nigga to play with. The fight was cool. The designs are great. The animation was great. Yeah, this movie was, I would say this movie isn't good. Yeah, it's in B tier. I never even realized that because BoJack is not something I really go to as a movie, right? I usually go to Revenge of Cooler or Broly. The more I think about it, yeah, I would say, yeah, these are all in B tier. The camera didn't record the footage for this tier list. So we're going to start off. So that's why I'm on camera right now. I'm going to go ahead and knock this out. Recording this video already took way too long. Editing this video already took way too long. But real quick, second coming up Broly. Alright, mid. It sucked. IO Broly, even worse. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Fusion Reborn. I really liked it. A tier. Great. Absolutely. Love Vegeta's character arc in this. Love the fights. Everything about it. The villain was a little bit plain, but man, his skill set was so cool. Wrath of the Dragon. It was cool. Trunks in it was cool. Character arc was cool. What ruined it was Goku taking the dub at the end, I guess because they wanted Super Saiyan 3 to finally get a dub, but yeah, it is what it is. Slightly above mid. Path to Power, that was B tier. I really liked it. I really liked the art style. I really liked the new emotional way that they try to put within the movie, and yeah, enjoyed it. Battle of Gods, I tried to say this before, Battle of Gods, and it's just, I don't like where they went with Battle of Gods. Okay, Battle of Gods was around slightly above mid because it was like a cool, entertaining little movie for the most part. But I feel like a lot of story elements were just so plain Jane, the pure of heart bullshit that they try to do with Super Saiyan God. Also, I feel like adding gods and Super Saiyan God and all that to it to begin with kind of ruins the story a little bit, okay? We already got like a setup world and try to include these gods that Toriyama obviously make on the fly, and this is where making up on the fly actually goes against Toriyama, that sometimes it just comes off as just kind of dumb or lazy. I do like Beerus and I do like Whis. They are cool, very cool characters, and I love their design. But the movie within itself, the OST, the fight, the action, and it's just entertaining in general. I gotta put it slightly above mid. Resurrection F, boring movie, boring action, boring choreography, below mid. There's some entertaining elements about it. I mean, Frieza in himself is entertaining. That's the only way it's not in Garbaccio, but yeah, it's really mid movie. Broly, absolutely loved it. It was great. The character of Broly being redone was great. The action was great. The animation was great. The art was great. Definitely the best piece of Dragon Ball we have gotten in a really long time. Absolutely adore this movie. For whatever reason, Dragon Ball Super Heroes is not on this tier list. Whoever made this tier list. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the picture here slightly above mid. It's kind of like Wrath of the Dragon, where it comes to like this big boss fight of this monster that has no brains at all, and that can be kind of dull, but there was some cool animation moments. The art style with the 3D models, didn't like that, but it was a very enjoyable movie. It was a very entertaining movie. It was pretty hilarious, and even though it's definitely not perfect, Gohan's form is absolutely dog shit, and some of the story elements is kind of silly. I still enjoy enough to put in slightly above mid. The Vegeta brother story, whatever the freak his name is, don't really care. Very mid special. But I needed some Dragon Ball at the time, so I watched it anyways. But now looking back on it, very mid. Future Trunks, absolutely love it. Great. Z tier, God tier, top tier. Everything really with the Cell Saga, whether it was the movies or the Cell Saga itself, was just on their game. Toei was on top of their game at the time. I don't know what drugs they were on, but the Trunks arc really just fantastic, man. Just a fantastic arc and fantastic special. I think this is probably the most emotional and pull at the heartstrings piece of content in Dragon Ball that you're going to get, and it was fantastic. Once again, Saiyan Saga, don't know where it disappeared to, but yeah, it's still an A tier grade. The Dragon Ball Super Duper Hero, whatever the freak is called for the game promotion thing. Don't even know why this is on here, but it's on here. Absolutely Garbaccio. A waste of my freaking time, especially considering it's on like 15, 20 minutes, and it's like every month, once a month, every couple months and stuff like that, and you have fan animations that go crazy, and this is all you give us? Absolutely garbage. Absolutely wasting my time. But yeah, that is Dragon Ball. Once again, don't know what happened to my audio, so I had to quickly just speed run through this. But this is how I feel about Dragon Ball. This is my tier list, the absolute most objective tier list, God tier, Z tier list. Tell me what you think down below, and what's your favorite Dragon Ball arc? What's the worst Dragon Ball arc? And yeah, Dragon Ball to go.